Would you all help me welcome John Shepherd as our wonderful guest tonight? John, you just flew in from Hawaii.
Just for this.
That's awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And one of the reasons that we wanted to have you here tonight is your connection to the Dropbox. And so I wanted to ask you, just to start with, how does a college student, somebody, and all of you will see the film, somebody like Brian Ivy, who was in college, who discovered a story, how did he get that to you? How did you get involved with this?
Well, there are no accidents, and I was invited to speak at USC, which I'm a diehard Bruin, so you know what a ministry that was for me to have to sacrifice and go across town and talk to a film class. Afterwards, a couple of kids came up to me, and I mean kids, some of these guys, one guy actually said, "Do you know so-and-so from UCLA?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That's my mom." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I went to school with your mom." So it was kind of neat to meet these young filmmakers, and they said, "We just finished a film, we'd love you to see it." Well, I'm always interested in movies, and so yeah, I'd love to see it. And they said, "But it's a documentary." I said, "Oh, well, kind of interested to see it." And they said, "Oh, but we shot it in Korea." And I said, "Oh, very interested to see it. But it's not in Korean, is it?" "Yeah, it's in Korean." "Oh, kind of not interested to see a documentary in Korean." So it just didn't sound like it was going to be, we're not documentary filmmakers. I don't speak Korean. I just thought, I'll take a look at it. Well, they came over to interview me as a follow-up at our office, and one of the guys in my office walked in and said, "Have you seen this trailer on Vimeo? It's gone viral." And I said, "No, but the guys that produced it are right here." And he said, "We've got to see your film."
Wow.
And so this trailer for the Dropbox has now been seen by, I think, over 7 or 8 million people. And it was just one of those things that went viral. So we watched the film in our office, and everybody, well, I won't ruin it for you if you haven't seen it, but it was moving.
Yeah, we will be seeing it in just a short time, so that's a great promo for it. So then it was kind of just one of those God things, really, of being in the right place at the right time. And then there's mentors like you, John. What's that place of mentorship for any of us, that you're somebody who gives so much of your time investing in this community? Talk to us a little bit about why you do that. Why do you invest in this community, the Christians in entertainment?
You know, I came out here as an actor when I was 17, and by the time I figured out how to crack into the acting world, it took me 5 years. And if I just had somebody when I first came out who had taken me under their wing, and there were a few people. In fact, Gary Marshall, the director, was a Northwestern alum, and he said, if any of you guys, when he spoke at Northwestern, I was a freshman, he said, if any of you guys ever get to LA, look me up. Well, I was in the audience for one of his shows. I think it was Happy Days. We were there at a taping, and I yelled out, "Hey, Mr. Marshall," and he looked up in the audience. I said, "I'm from Northwestern," and I ran down. I said, "You said if I ever got here to look you up, I'm here." And he said, "Well, you are, aren't you? Okay, you're an actor?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Here's my card. Call Bobby Hoffman tomorrow. Tell him Gary Marshall said the call." And you would have thought that I was going to be a movie star. They rolled out the red carpet. It was somebody helping me that made me realize we all need to help one another. We need to stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. And I can make the path in filmmaking so much easier for those who haven't had to go through some of what we went through. But you think 20 years ago when there wasn't the Beacon, there wasn't Act One, there wasn't all these Bible studies and fellowships and arts ministries and churches. They were just kind of fledgling. And now it's exciting to see what's happened in the last, 24 years, really.
So let me ask you about that. You founded Empower. What year?
It's been 8 years now.
8 years.
Yeah.
What were your dreams for founding Empower when you did? And what's your vision for it now?
Well, the three of us together put it together. It was Steve McAvity, who had left Icon, who produced The Passion of the Christ, and his real desire was, let's call it Empower, because I want to empower the audience and filmmakers to make a positive change in the culture. I want to help mentor and facilitate talented young people, but I also want to empower the audience to make positive change. So if there's things that we can connect to, a cause or some kind of call to action, that's a win-win. And if we can make it artistically excellent, that's another win. And if we can make it commercially successful, well, now we're in a sweet spot. So our goal was that we'd be in that sweet spot of artistically excellent, on-mission, commercially responsible films. And sometimes we're on mission, but we don't make any money. Sometimes we make a ton of money, but we're not real proud of the mission message of it. So where we can get those three circles to intersect is where we want to be, and I feel like that's where God wants Empower to be.
Mm-hmm. Which of your films do you think hit that sweet spot best?
Gosh, well, I look at the Dropbox, and not that it's our, and again, I don't look at any of them as our films. I look at them as films